Oh, yeah. What is up, theology nerds? This is Trip. I am here with the Bo Daddy, and we're about to nerd out with our geeks out. And who even knows exactly where this is going? Bo does.
Yeah.
But
Not this morning, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, so you told me what you want to talk about, and then I told you a couple ideas I had, and I didn't get a response. We were doing it again, so I just thought this is setting me up for a mystery.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to cover a lot of ground this morning. This is the Theology Nerd Throwdown, your home of faith maxing and nerd mogging.
Sometimes I just break my bookshelf, so I got to rebuild them stronger so they can hold more hardbacks. Real men read hardbacks. Sometimes we get library editions just so they weigh extra.
This is not the place for paperback.
Paperbacks for losers. If you're going to work a book like I work it, you don't want that spine to break, son.
I can
all
feel
the
my
people that aren't on Gen Z internet.
My. Yeah.
What just happened?
Well, it's tough to say, and one of the things that's happening right now with these, I think they're millennials. I'm guessing, is or is it Gen Z? Is that what? Okay.
Yeah. So Gen Z. Look, millennials. Look, we've grown up. It's just everyone keeps treating us like we're kids just because boomers ruined the economy and most of us couldn't leave home until much later.
So there's a weird thing that's happening where they're using irony online, but different than previous generations have in that it's not exactly ironic. The irony is that you and I don't know what they're saying. It's sort of a type of self-referential postmodernism, but without any knowledge or awareness that that's what it is. It's a very strange time to try and be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, you know what? We're not even going to try.
No,
we're you know what's cool now? Not trying. Not trying.
Yeah.
What did you give up for Limp, Bo?
I gave up. Yeah, I gave up. No,
hold on.
Or you got your slideshow.
Well,
yes.
Okay, look. I'm sorry it popped up.
Let's talk about this.
I didn't know if we were using it, so then I didn't make it. And then I looked at, then I didn't know if your reply was, oh yeah, do it. So I was working on this talk I'm going to be giving in a couple months. On that's like engaging the whole book. That's all the digital occupation of the self that I'm working on, right? So I'm like, I'm just going to try the big ideas out. So I made 10 thesis statements in the most provocative way I could that will get, because it's an undergrad religion department. I'm like, they will know this. Like they will know the experience I'm talking about better than when I talk to older people that are digital natives and they're still figuring it out. Younger people are more discerning about the impact of algorithms. They're familiar with that. Like they're more conscious of it, right? So I'm like, I want to just do the big thesis statements from all the throughout the book and then get them to tell me if they're true or not and how they would problematize it. And does the theory help?
That is really smart.
And I'm going to get some Gen Z examples to put back in the book, you know?
Okay.
So I have that thesis statement outline. And then when you said, hey, a number of people thought that whole bit we did on Human 2.0 last week was fun.
Yeah. So I texted Trip yesterday.
I put the thesis
okay
document in the AI slide maker and haven't seen the slides at all. So they could have misspellings. It could be completely horrible. They could use cheesy photos. I don't know yet.
Okay.
This is happening in real time. We're authentic AF.
Listen, if we do get to alphabet today, we're on I anyway, and so we could do improvisation. That could be one of our I words.
We're enacting the I.
Yeah. So what happened is yesterday, excuse me, I texted Trip and I said, hey, I'm going to go back, which I didn't get a chance to. I'm going to go back and listen to the last 20 minutes of last week's episode when we talked about human, because we were at H in our alphabet, and we did human 2.0, because I've gotten a number of people said like that really impacted them or how insightful what you said was. But I couldn't remember what you said because it was like at an hour 20. And
we're not cool or young anymore. So
I was sort of on autopilot, and I don't really remember what you said. I do know that you brought in the Borg and incarnation and several other things, but I don't remember how you put it together. So I was going to go back and listen to it. And then when I said I heard from a number of people how good that was, you said, "Oh, why don't I put it in the slide maker?" And so that sounded fun to me. So I thought that's what we were doing today. So we could do a combination of that, the 10 points, and then if we have time, we could get to the letter I, because I have some questions for you.
Okay. Well, I think we should just start using the slides and then see if it works. I haven't seen them at all. And normally I coach it per slide. Like on this slide, I want this. Here's my notes. Here's the text I want on it. And then it makes it look nice. I literally just put in my document with the 10 thesis statements on it and my bullet points, which I don't even know if they make sense if you aren't me. They're my talking points, right? Like, explain Coldry's concept of data colonialism.
Oh boy.
Like, this is gonna I don't know what nerdy Google thinks when it sees that.
Who knows?
Anyway, yeah. So that's what I did. But I gotta tell you what I'm doing tonight, Bo.
Okay, I'm ready.
We have not got a real intro up yet. We have not done a high quality TNT intro. We're only at 7 minutes, and a minute of that was our pregame music. I'm worried that it might create expectations in the future that we get to the content quicker, and that really ruins why I show up for this every Friday, is because I'm hanging out with Bo and our friends in the chat.
Yeah.
John Augustine's in here. Okay. John was in my class the first time I was doing the class at Luther. AI and stuff. So, which is where this book started. It's evolved quite a bit. So, like, he may just tell me, Trip, your lectures were better. Go back to that. I don't know. He can give input. We'll see. But anyway, dude, never mind. I'm not even sure I can tell that story. But guess what I'm doing tonight, Bo?
Oh, please tell me.
All right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
All right.
So these would be kids you were like my age. So like when you were a youth minister.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. There is one of the bands in that time period.
Yeah.
That if you grew up in an evangelical context and, let's say, grew beyond certain parochial attitudes, maybe like blindness to colonialism.
Third eye blind?
No. What is the band from that period that if you go to Theology Beer Camp, it's the only CCM band you'd probably still listen to?
DC Talk?
No.
Oh.
No, like you listen to it and you like the lyrics. And you're like, oh, that was so cool. Well, it's Five Iron Frenzy.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say the Supertones, but yes, Five Iron Frenzy.
Supertones are conservative Calvinist nationalists. Like that is, you don't listen to that and be like, oh yeah, they got a point.
True?
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with any of this.
But Five Iron Frenzy.
All right. Yeah.
And so like my buddy Bald Will, Geek Stage at camp, my brother, and two of our friends from our high school theology reading group, we're going. And
we're
going tonight. and it's going to be epic.
What
And
do you think that you will be like the median age of the audience?
I imagine so. Like,
Okay.
you know, they do shit. They got back together maybe 2 or 3, like around sometime around the pandemic. Everything runs together after that, and they'll play like a concert once a month. And
Really?
they're in Greensboro tonight.
Okay.
So, like,
how far is that from you?
That's where I live.
Oh,
they're
you're
in my hometown.
Oh, I thought you were in a smaller town.
It is small if you lived in LA and Edinburgh.
All right.
But I mean, it's the third biggest city in North Carolina.
You know, one of the interesting things I was thinking about driving in this morning, I don't know why I was thinking about this, is probably because of the cigar lounge. Your stories about the cigar lounge. I was thinking, you know, there's a bunch of things in southern Idaho because it's pretty rural, like things we just don't have. Oh, I know why I got thinking about it. There's no comic book shop here. The closest comic book shop is about 45 minutes away. There's no cigar lounge. There's no ESPN radio. There's no Victoria's Secret. There's no, like, there's just so many.
Of all the things for you to pick, right? Like, no cigar shop, comic book shop, lingerie shop, you know, the basics.
Well, this is the way my mind works is I just think when I visit someplace else, like every year I have to go to annual conference.
When you go visit places, you say, I need the comic book shop,
the cigar lounge, Victoria's Secret, and I listen to ESPN radio as I drive around.
That's what CJ's waiting for when you get home. Is she's like, did you go by the lingerie shop? That's what all women married over 20 years ask upon arrival. Did you go? Goodness. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you.
So you did not enjoy the list I curated would not have been what you expected. That's what I'm picking up on.
The other thing is when you travel, is there like a hamburger place they only have in that region that you don't have in yours? Like, oh, it's a Whataburger area, or it's an In-N-Out area. It's right. Like, that kind of thing.
Dude, I love In-N-Out, and they just got one up in Boise, but that's like 2.5 hours away.
Okay, what's your In-N-Out order? Also in the chat, if you have a reg, go ahead and throw it in there.
Oh, it's really simple. It's just double animal style. Every time. I also get animal style fries, which is that's what I should stop doing because so, by the way, when we went to Denver a year and a half ago, I had pre-scouted this. I got a hotel room for that first night right by an In-N-Out on purpose. So I landed, I check into my hotel, I drop my bags in the room, and I walk over to In-N-Out. It's literally the first thing I did.
Reasonable.
Yes, but the animal style, the fries were over the top. I shouldn't have done the animal style on the fries. Okay. I should have just gone regular fries.
I like to go 3x3, and then you say triple the pickles because I just love pickles. Oh. And so when they're thinking 3x3, then you're cutting off extra bread.
Well, and it counts as a vegetable at that point.
You're like 3x3 triple pickles. If you're cutting carbs at the time, you're just like, wrap that thing in lettuce. Really, I just want meat, cheese, and pickles all over my face. Yeah. And but you gotta ask for well done fries. That's the thing if you're going, go for the well done fries. When I lived next to one, I learned this from I don't know, perhaps surfer pothead types that are in my youth group. There's nothing illegal about rolling up to In-N-Out with warm nacho cheese sauce in your car. Did you know that would you have thought of that?
No.
But a 16-year-old taught me about it. Game changer. And so, if you're a youth minister in the area, like, well, they want to hang out. I got to talk to you. Okay. You want to make an In-N-Out run? You go pick them up from their house after school. You're going to make an In-N-Out run. What happens? They walk out with nacho cheese. Just nacho cheese. And I'm like, what's up with that? And he's like, check this. What's he want? He gets his animal style fries and stuff.
Yeah.
Ding.
and then
just
adds
pours
cheese.
nacho cheese all over the top.
It seems excessive, if I can be honest.
You mean American? I know.
Oh boy, Trip, can I tell you?
Okay,
I
John. We got animal fries. John Augustine's going for the animal fries.
Yeah.
Joe Cash on Substack says his fave is Whataburger. Before Chick-fil-A took over, when there wasn't Chick-fil-A's in Southern California,
boy, do I hate Chick-fil-A.
And you show up in a Chick-fil-A, you're not a Southerner. Chick-fil-A is
gross.
It's amazing.
It's the most bland. I hate that food.
I am so concerned about you.
Oh gosh,
like Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich, obviously triple pickles.
I'm good.
Oh, it's so good,
dude.
Chick-fil-A breakfast banger. They got this
spicy
egg white chicken grill, so it's like egg white with cheese, grilled chicken on an English muffin. 290 calories and 29 grams of protein. That's what I'm talking about.
No, dude, I'd rather
crushed ice and that Dr. Pepper. Come on.
I'd rather eat Jack in the Box.
The water ratio.
I'll eat Jack in the Box or Carl's Jr. and then punch myself in the face before I'd go to In-N-Out.
No wonder. Before you go to In-N-Out.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. Chick-fil-A. I can't even. Yeah. I've only had Chick-fil-A twice, and it was terrible both times.
Look. Ooh.
Yeah.
Look, apparently Chick-fil-A is a heated topic in the chat. But I don't even remember what got derailed here.
Oh, we were talking about things that I don't have in Southern Idaho.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so when Bo travels, obviously In-N-Out gets you pumped.
Yeah. Bottle shop.
Chick-fil-A gets you angry.
You know, literally in my entire town, there's only one place I can buy a stout or porter. There's no bottle shop. It's all like yellow beer, and it's really boring.
And it's all cold there. What do they do in the winter?
Dude, I have no idea.
Man, somebody needs to bring an empty box and repurpose some of those extras from the bottle share at Theology Beer Camp.
You know, that final
if we
night
room together, I can can pull mine aside. You know, the things I want to. If you drop 15 grand on beer, you can really take what you want. And and so I could just bring some back to our hotel.
Okay.
We don't get around to it, and then I say, Bo, do you have a servant's heart to take these dark beers back to the oasis of the desert of Idaho?
That final night of Theology Beer Camp, I brought back, I think, 2 back to the Airbnb. One of them I tried to drink. It was a barrel-aged bourbon stout with like chocolate or something in it. Trip, I couldn't. It's the first time I've ever had something that I could not finish. It was as thick as motor oil, and it had like tobacco notes and an earthiness of wet dirt. It was so good, but it was so viscous. I mean, you'd have to cut it with something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was wild.
I would say that perhaps deciding if you could finish a beer the last night of Theology Beer Camp, there might just be less space for the exploration, you know?
Yeah. My margins had been encroached on.
Yeah.
So, you know, you and I take 2 very different approaches when gearing up for this epic October event. You cut back on your indulgences in order to save up credits.
Yeah, I just don't drink for the month coming up to it.
Right. And I do the opposite. I go into training mode, and because I'm trying to pace myself for my premiere. I want to be at my apex performance.
You're a beer elite.
Yeah.
A brew elite? I don't know.
Do you think that I should? Do you think throughout the episode I should keep saying things like malt mogging? And do you think I should just keep doing that? Because I listened to this episode about this Gen Z phenomena of toxic male masculinity, and I can't stop thinking about, funny. Oh my gosh, like looks maxing is like an actual thing, and screen mogging, and like it is now. There's a part of my brain that has been partitioned off and is solely dedicated to trying to find things that I can tack the word maxing or mogging onto.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm very distracted.
Okay. I understand the distraction, and I started to tell a story and then decided that the high schoolers involved wouldn't appreciate me talking about it on the internet.
All right.
But I'll just say the side effects of that stuff, kind of funny. And
by the way, our chat, really knowledgeable folks in the chat. Like Lori is always coming up with good recommendations. I find myself actually using my phone to take pictures of her recommendations. Oh, for instance, this week I went and found the book from two episodes ago. Somebody recommended Emergent Organizing, I think it is.
mm-hmm.
I ordered like 3 books by that author this week.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Now you're going to have to give us a book report.
Okay, I will. I'm learning a lot, by the way. We started a pantry on our first floor, and the person who I is my point person there has a background in community organizing and not advocacy. What's it called? Anyway, political organizing, but they do it in this organic, democratic consensus format. So they're not like in charge, even though they're my point person, they're my contact, but their style is more inclusive and egalitarian. I'm learning so much from them. So I sat in their meeting the other night. I hated it. I don't like consensus democratic small group meetings where like every point is validated. And anyway, it was a struggle for me to be in there, but also a fascinating learning opportunity to see a different style of leadership. And I left, I didn't enjoy the meeting itself, but I left thinking, good fruit's going to come out of that. Because if you're committed to that style of teamwork, right?
It makes the dream work.
Long term, I can see why it would bear good fruit, but it is tough. It is a learning curve. Like the on-ramp to getting things going does take longer, but I do appreciate being able to witness a different style of leadership. So, Place Baptist, no Quakers. I hate Quakers. Yeah.
Well, then they don't. Then they just talk. They just listen. Quakers, great listeners.
Wait, Ben, do Baptists that they have that style of?
We have vote. It's the Holy Ghost leads the congregation. The pastor stewards it, so there's not like executive authority.
Do you know what I find fascinating about that? One of the
how biblical it is.
One of the things I really love is like if you are an outsider to a group, you often know what you know about them is their most extreme or animated point, right? So, for instance, I love talking about Presbyterians. If you ask a non-Presbyterian, the thing they often know is about their Calvinism, right? The Scottish Reformed thought.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me because what people don't know is that the Presbyterians get their name from their organizational style of the presbytery. And so I just think I love this stuff, man, because like Methodists, people know like we're social justice oriented and service, but they don't know what the methods are. So I just love
established this.
Yes.
Like even Methodists don't know there are methods.
Yes. So I love when an outsider, the one thing you know about a group is their most, say, public facing or extreme position. But how groups identify themselves, where their name comes from, every time I learn something new about a different group, I'm like, oh, it's like this other thing, like with Presbyterians. And yeah. So,
Well, oh, all right, Bo.
yeah.
You want to see what happens if we put up slides I've not looked at?
Let's do it.
I mean,
it's time.
I at least wrote what it based it on.
Here we go. Let's see what happens. 10 Theses on the Digital Crisis, a field guide to the colonization of the human mind.
Look at that.
Selfhood, community, and then red resistance. Wait, you probably didn't put it in red. The AI
I gave it no direction on what's on these slides.
Okay.
I just gave it my notes that I use for the talk.
Okay.
Because I changed my mind this morning that you actually wanted to do this.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's see what's about to happen. Oh, see, it even decided to frame my theses for me. All right, so the meta conversation. The chains are invisible because they look like connectivity. The problem, we treat this as a tool issue to be managed, our technological relationship. It's actually a colonial issue to be resisted. The seduction, we do not resist because the plantation feels like opportunity, right? And that was one of the bits we talked about last week, where the platforms become the plantation, and our interiority becomes what's being exploited.
Wow.
And the goal to move from optimized users to reclaim humans directing their own interior lives. Yeah, that's actually a really good summary of all 10 of my theses.
In one slide?
Yeah, they made the point there for me.
So just as a side note, this slide thing is going to work for those watching on YouTube or who are here with us live. But for those listening on the audio podcast later, like on iTunes or whatever,
there's a link they can go look at it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But we can just read them. We can read them. We can pretend that we're not looking at them, you know?
Okay.
Where people are like, well, they're just talking. And randomly, you know, something happens.
Okay. No. Okay. So can I go back to that previous slide? I have a comment. One of the things I've been thinking about since our conversation, you know, there's a phrase I grew up with, and it's been used in different contexts, but, you know, chains of your own making, right? Like when we are entrapped or imprisoned by chains of our own making, not somebody didn't put it upon us, right? It's by our behaviors and choices and habits, addictions, fantasies that, and I've been thinking a lot about this. It is tricky when it comes to this connectivity because the tool itself has such a prominent upside that it really is, I love the word seduction, it really is seductive because, like, for a long time, I resisted getting a phone. And then I hired a person who used to work in the corporate world. Then they had gotten ill and dropped out of corporate life, but really wanted to, like, help make the church better. So I hired this person who used to, like, run a branch of General Electric, right? She managed, like, regionally the Northeast for GE. And so I hired her, but as like the church's assistant. But the funny thing is, when she got there, I was like, oh, now that she's on the watch, she's holding down the fort, I can wander. Because I had felt very chained to the physical location, to the campus. So once she was on site, I was like, oh, I'm going to wander. So I would go down to the coffee shop and I would go down to the bookstore and I would go fishing and do all the stuff that I do. And about 3 days into our new work partnership, she said, you have to get a phone. If I can't get a hold of you, I can't do my job. So that's why I originally got a phone. But then I was so darn impressed with how much you could get done that I was like, this is wonderful. Why did I resist this for so long? And then I became, you know, a late adopter, admittedly, but I really got into it. So I'm just saying, I understand how seductive the productivity and connectivity are.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and here's the crazy part is we think, right, it's solving a problem. Oh, now you have more freedom. You can work from over here. Oh,
Yep.
you can get something done here.
Yeah.
And um whatever greater efficiency it gets, it doesn't keep the demand from you on behalf of labor the same. It now just kind of obligates you to use all the tools and technology because there's just going to be higher output demanded from you. Probably
Wow.
not for greater pay, right? Like if you just take 100-year framework, think of how much technology has been developed. Do we have more free time, leisure,
No.
a closer a
Friendships.
closer gap between the richest and poorest and all
Yeah.
those kinds of things?
Yeah.
No, no. That's why Jacques Ellul, one of his points was like technology is there, but it also just creates um, a it has its own logic and becomes enslaving because you can't
Wow.
opt out because the
Yeah.
logic of the market is you have to compete. So if you like take this past week, Claude of all the AI companies is the one
Yeah.
that like intentionally tries to be good. Like if you ever hear from any of them
Yeah.
a worry, it's from someone at Claude because everyone else is not going to tell you that they're concerned about
They're
something.
literally the only ones who signed the agreement to like do no harm,
Yeah.
essentially.
And now the military is
Department of War.
sorry. Yeah. I mean, technically it's still the defense, unless we've just given up on the Constitution completely and we can just slap new names on stuff and it sticks. Whether it's a Gulf or a department or a historic theater. The but like Claude's like, look, I know y'all like using our stuff, but can we just not do it for two things? One, really effective surveillance of the whole freaking country without warrants, oversight, or anything. The Dark Knight scene where Morgan Freeman's character is looking at Batman, Christian Bale Batman, when he realizes that he's turned on everyone's camera in the whole city of Gotham, is using facial ID, blah, 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 blah. And he's just like, look, I know you got to get the Joker, but I'm blowing this junk up. This is not cool. I'm done. I quit. Like, we're not setting up a surveillance state for preemptive strikes on randos. And anyway, so they're like, you can't do that. I don't think it fits through the Constitution. And they're like, okay. And the other is, we can't use us to start bombing people where there's not even a human involved in the whole thing. You can't have AI kill bots where there's no human that at least goes, all right, I'm down. And good old, Fox News weekend host, technically in charge of it, is just like, hey, we're going to use the Defense Production Act and just steal your whole company if you don't let us.
Oh my.
We're not taking limits on spying on everybody. We're not insisting that a human being be involved when AI is going to kill somebody. What could go wrong? Then here's the crazy thing is Elon Musk, who's got the AI that accidentally went Mecha Hitler, is just like, look, if they don't want to do it, I'm down.
Oh,
Could you
really?
okay, this is not on the news. We're talking about Donald Trump being old and sleepy by the end of his State of the Union, mocking randos, handing out medals like he's an Oprah Christmas special. And we're not talking about the reality that we have technology that okay, here's okay, that Super Bowl ad for Ring cameras, and then they're like, we found a dog by hijacking everyone's Ring camera, even ones that aren't even paying their subscription. We're still connected. We're turning it on. Like, this is what people don't get. The technological occupation is two areas, Bo. And this week, and I haven't added this back into the book because this is pissing me off. So one, and we'll talk about this if we actually use the slides, is our interiority is occupied. We don't have an inner room anymore. Most of our attention is being harnessed and oriented. We never get around to thinking slow. We only think fast. And they know how the psychology works, and they hook us and make us dependent on it. Anyway, it turns us into a world of narcissists staring at mirrors that want to hold our attention so they can know us to sell us shit. And then, right, so like you don't need a panopticon when you like let it occupy your inside. But now we got a government. The people that invented the freaking Bill of Rights, our team, like the OGs, like no basket for top-down authority. We're going to make Congress, this unruly bunch, the supreme authority, because we don't want an executive with that much power. That's the American experience. We're going to protect the ability to gather, the ability to speak, the ability to be protected if you think there's a tyrant, like weapons. Like, so we're going to protect the ability for religious is to be a completely free market. We're not laying power on the scales. We're like the country that's just like human beings. Humaning is really important. And theoretically, that's what we did. Now we had to expand it over time. But now we got a government that's like, not only are we not going to regulate the most powerful technology to come online in a long time, we're going to use the threat of China to mean we have to go balls to the wall, like we're totally AI maxing, and because we got to win the race to get to their eschatological moment where they can have complete control. And now we're having we're just like, it would be really cool if AI could grab every piece of data that is available, whether we have rights to it or not. And I know we have technical rules if the state's doing it, but we could purchase all the metadata from all these companies that got cameras and algorithms and track you. And then we also want the ability for that AI to execute individuals that meet a threat matrix. The same AI, this is another thing that came out 2 weeks ago, Bo. The same AI, the one that actually is like the more kind, Claude's, when doing war games, 97% of the time, they go, it's reasonable to do a nuke right now. This is what we're living in. And we're going to, you know what? You know what the world really needs? Like, we're going to have to fight about some bathroom signs, Bo. And we're going to fight about like what we can tweet. This is what we're stuck in. We're getting screwed. And
oh boy. Now listen,
Sorry, I got triggered already. Normally, you've got to wait till an hour and 20 minutes in.
So listen, during the pandemic, I did an experiment, and I went back and read the highlights in all of my books that were written before the year 2000. It was a wonderful experiment. I think the book I talk about the most is The Argument Culture by Deborah Tannen, and just how she thought that our political discourse was so inflamed and filled with animosity and vitriol. And that was in 97, right? Well, one of the other books I read that really stood out to me was called The Transparent Society by David Brin. And it was written in 99. And it was my introduction to like surveillance cameras and how the police were using them. But what was an interesting case study is that both in New York and Baltimore, crime rates had dropped so much that the people of Cincinnati were willingly and openly asking for that, because they were willing to the thesis of the book is they're willing to trade their freedom for safety. And
yes, no, we always did. That's like literally why our founders were like, we have to just make it like you're going to have to get 2/3 of the states to agree with you to get rid of these freedoms. And then we had the bipartisan consensus after the occupation of the military industrial complex and the purchasing of our representatives by multinational companies. And what do we get? Increasing executive power so that we can sidestep the collaborative decision-making process of democracy. Like, okay, one of our parties still thinks it's at least a good fiction to keep in place, and the other one is wiping their butt with it. But like, I just think we're kind of screwed, and a technology is coming online that has the potential of being a real gift if it's used in a zero-sum way. But if it is used in an us versus them, an extension of the exploitative and extractive logic of a market that demands growth to sustain itself, then we're effed. And
okay, so
that's why I writing a book that's a liberation theology book about digital space.
Wow.
Like it's about the digital being the actual site for liberation in our techno-feudal world that's berating towards an apocalypse.
So let me tell you the 2 points that tie in with the theology nerd part of our show. So the word you used last week that's I've been hanging with me all week is acceleration. And I think since 1961, the introduction of the military industrial complex to most people's awareness by Eisenhower, think about the acceleration since 1961, right? And even since 2008, when most people got an iPhone, right, with the front facing camera and so many other things, it's the acceleration that is concerning. But where it ties into theology is what you talk about with when Jesus said, go into the inner room, it's the disappearance of that internal space, our interiority, that is concerning to the theology nerd.
Yeah. Okay, that is thesis 1. So let's just look at it. They at least kept it in the correct order. That's good. All right, so I'm going to read the thesis. You can tell me what the slide. Okay, so thesis 1 is the algorithm has invaded the last colony, the human mind. The digital platform represents history's first successful colonization of human interiority itself. Previous empires colonized land, labor, resources. This empire colonizes attention, desire, and the capacity for self-direction. Ulysses, who's been on the podcast, and his partner Nick Coldry call it data colonialism, which is the appropriation of human life so that value can be continuously extracted from it. Right? We become data mines. The territory being mined is now not land but mind without the extra e. So the colonized end up in we internalize the colonizer's values, right?
Yeah.
We and when we've internalized the algorithm's logic, which is hijacking the least mature part of our cognitive system, we speak of ourselves as, we like to go, oh, I optimized this, or this isn't optimized yet. And we measure our worth and engagement metrics. We learn to see ourselves as the algorithm sees us, right? And it becomes a mirror. And then we live in a world of echoes, not resonance. Previous generations, you think, fought for the right for free speech. We have to fight for something more fundamental, freedom of attention. Speech means nothing if the capacity to direct our own minds already been captured, right? And so Jesus goes, go into your inner room to pray. And the inner room assumes what? There's a door. And the algorithm has picked the lock. So if we want to decolonize, like the decolonization process of land, that's difficult enough, because think of the power and interest that have no interest in thinking about it. But to decolonize the mind, when the colonizer's been internalized, that's the spiritual challenge of the age. That's why I want, what got me so worked up to do this book.
It's very concerning. And can I just be honest? I don't know if this was your innovation, but bringing in a Jesus quote, like not just a biblical passage, but a Jesus quote that exhorts us, right, to go into this inner room. What you've done with that to integrate it into spirituality, I think, is the master stroke here.
Oh, I like it. That's a compliment, Bo.
Yeah.
But no, the inner room bit. You want to know how what it came from?
Okay.
Mutual friend.
Yeah.
Who's very much like his full-time job's being like progressive Christian influencer.
Okay.
And we were talking, and he grew up in a very conservative evangelical spot, and he's like, yeah, I don't even really do quiet times anymore, because it's like, what do I know about the Bible? I may as well just like find a podcast where you talk about it, or like Bible for Normal People or whatever, right? Like, what can I do? And I had this face that I'm looking at him, and I'm just like, what? He's like, yeah, like we used to just believe if I just read it and prayed, then whatever I came up with is what the Holy Ghost wanted. But I don't even know any of the crap that's going on. I need a divinity degree before I should be allowed to read the Bible. And I was just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, which he's kind of shocked, in his mind, he's like, I respect all the stuff you spend your life doing. Like, that helps me more than just reading it. And I'm like, but that's not the point. I was like, I'm not freaking out about, okay, whatever. You can get a commentary, or I mean, that's not the problem. I was like, it's the idea that you think the only form of quiet time as an evangelical is like you interpreting a certain final, absolute, infinite Bible that's perfect and applying it to your life. And if you can't do that, you don't know what to do. I was like, I was like, Jesus did not debate whether or not you should have a contemplative life. He just says, when you pray this way. And then he tells you to do what all the wisdom traditions in their contemplative streams do, is go into your inner room. Like, the very beginning of religiosity is your solitariness. Whitehead, Religion in the Making, uses that language. And it's only there when you take responsibility for your attention, and then how it orients towards values, how you exercise your agency. It's from that space that you can live in integrity, whether you're talking to Jesus, Buddha, Socrates, Muhammad. They all say this. So I'm like, if you opt out of that part, you're like opting out of everything that gives everything else value. Like, otherwise you're just performing visions of the world that you resonate with because they are like you, right? Like, the God is inherently other, and without the encounter and friction of that otherness and the otherness of our own self-image in light of who we are in the presence of the divine, then from where do you stand to enact or proclaim or the things that animate you most? He's like, I hadn't thought about that. And I was like, and then you just sit on the internet all day professionally. The thing is just getting to know you to make you happy, worked up, make some new content and stuff. Like, and that's where I'm like, what do you think he meant by inner room? And so it was that conversation where I was on the aggressive side that then I was like, boom, now I know how I'm going to open this book in a room, like, and just be like, and you know what makes progressives think about praying? You can't just tell them they should pray. You got to tell them that it's liberation theology, and they've been occupied. Now.
I see. All right. So the origin story on that is pretty fun. Let me tell you. So, Trip, you're preaching to me because I actually might be the problem. Let me give you an example.
I mean, when I think of problems, you're not at the top, but go ahead.
Well, on this one, I do think I have a problem, but I acknowledge it, right? That's part of my recovery, is admitting that I have a problem. So here's the thing. Last Friday, I was doing my Friday thing, and I was painting. So I was fixing up a room here at the church building, and I was repairing bikes because people donate bikes. We fix them up and then give them to people in need, right? It's a really cool thing. And we're gearing up for a big spring giveaway where I'm hoping to give away about 30 bikes. So I'm cleaning them up, I'm tuning them up and getting them ready. So I was not in my pastor clothes. I was in my painting clothes, okay? Because I always keep at least 2 pairs of clothes here at the church because I'm part construction worker, part pastor, part poet. I know that. That's that's my thing. So we had a guy come in and on his bike, and he was in a little bit of need. And so the person who runs the pantry went down to make him a grocery box full of food. And I got to spend a little bit of time with him and hear a little bit of his story. It was great. And it wasn't till she came back up with the box of food that he figured out that I was the pastor. He did not know that I was the pastor. And because I'm I call it urban camouflage. Like I don't look in my normal day. No one would say, like, I'll bet you that guy's clergy, And so when people figure out that I'm the pastor, almost invariably, they either want to tell me how into religion they are or how much they're not into religion. And so that's why I hold back telling people that I'm a pastor, is because whenever that comes out, it's going to change the conversation, right? Okay, so that's all background. So he says what many people do. He assures me that he is spiritual but not religious. And I gave him my standard response. I said, oh, that's weird because I'm not spiritual at all, but I'm heavily religious. I'm deeply religious. And I mean it when I say it. Now, my congregation doesn't like this because they you sort of want your pastor to be spiritual, but I'm not that spiritual. But I am committed to the religion, because if it weren't for my religious community, I don't know that I would have a spirituality at all. So this interiority that you're talking about, the inner room, I think I'm actually the problem.
Well, okay, you'll convince me that you're the problem. I'll just say, as someone who's been your friend a long time, like, you may have just like narrowed what counts as spiritual practice
That's
of
true.
the interior,
I have.
and then not count what actually is for you. So let me just suggest, as almost every clergy that preaches every week is engaged in sustained contemplation of engaging the text, their community, the individual souls who are going to be in the congregation, and listening so attentively to both who will hear and what you're reading, that you are going to try to occupy a space in which the gift of the time to wrestle with the text and to know more of the community gets enacted in the worship space. That means there's probably 10 to 15 hours of your week that is the very kind of attention that the system is hijacking. Second, you are more human when a few things occur in your life. Things like biking or fishing. You do manual labor. Know how many episodes involved you using your hands to do something for other people. And in that space, we come out of it that there's like this whole thing you want to do for the world, or something about your life, or caring for your partner. And you know what that means? Like you were doing it's just like not in a weird, like in some other way. Third bit, in the class on the nuns we did with Ryan Burge and Tony, and the people that identify as spiritual but not religious, you want to know one of the funniest things about them?
Tell me.
They don't actually do anything different than everyone else. That, like, it's like 10% of them actually do anything spiritual. They just like to say they're spiritual but not religious, and so they're aspirationally spiritual but not religious.
Oh, interesting.
So like the number of them that say crystal, astrology, energy, you go through all those kinds of things you think of, the Instagrams, like, look, they're being spiritual. There's not a difference in the number of them that engage in those actual practices, those spiritual practices, than people that are like, I'm not religious or spiritual. They're just as likely to do this. Like, so the yoga, they aren't more likely to practice yoga.
Well, let me just say, I do have an asterisk next to my statement that I'm not spiritual but religious, which is, it's because of my religious community that I have a spirituality at all. For instance.
Yeah, and just to clarify, historically, that's true about almost every human being that's ever existed. It wasn't until modernity thought that who we are is something that's only accessible to ourselves, and the true authentic self's a hidden mystery in the individual, and that now you're tasked with our authoring and expressing the authentic you. Everyone else knew that human beings discover themselves in relationship with others, and others there's more broadly, not just human beings. And so almost every human that's ever been spiritual did it in community. There are alternative communities you may not identify as faith communities that become that space, like CrossFit or Soul Cycle or whatever. But I just think that even that language, it is like making the modern subject that's hyper atomistic normative, and then going, well, since it is just about me and my interiority, how am I going to do spirituality? And it's not surprising that the people that take that as the ideal aspirationally don't do it, because human beings don't enact anything of value really on their own.
So let me just say, I hear what you're saying, but let me just flesh out my asterisk. So I'm an early riser. When I'm up in the morning, let's say that somebody had slighted me the day before, and I'm like mulling it over, right? I'm chewing on it, and I'm growing embittered and thinking about what I should have said. But I know that later in the day, I'm going to be meeting with a group, AA or some other group. And I think, you know what, Bo? Your heart's not in the right place, and you're not going to be your best self if you keep, mulling on this and becoming embittered. So I will stop and I will say, Like, what do I need to do to release this frustration, anger that I'm feeling? And for me, it often goes back to song. Being raised as a Methodist and being a charismatic evangelical in my teens and 20s, songs have played a big role in my quote unquote spirituality. So I will often go into my inner room because I'm alone, right? I'm up in the morning, like I'm the only one here in the building. I'll go into my inner room and I'll make myself available to the presence of Holy Spirit. And often a song will come to me. And so I will sing that song and use that as a chance to release this thing that has been binding me, or to pull the thorn out, however you want to say it, take the rock out of my sandal. And to be real honest with myself about why my feathers got ruffled. Why did that hurt me so much? What's going on with my ego and self-worth, right? So, but here's what I'm saying. The only reason that I do that is because I know I'm going to be meeting with a group later in the day that I want to be the best version of myself for them. So the only reason I really have a spirituality is because of community.
Okay.
Yeah.
I honestly think if you look at Genesis, there was a one human show, and then that human, even with God walking around in the garden,
in a garden,
was lonely.
Yeah.
And what was the solution? The crescendo of creation. It was a partner, and it was female.
Oh,
so
it's a lady.
So bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. What does God want? It doesn't want us to be alone. So there's something about being in relationship with other image bearers that actually create the context for us coming to enjoy the presence of the one whose image we bear. Prior, a lonely individual can't even be content with all the rest of creation pre-fall and God rocking it out in the garden.
It's a great point.
I just like, I say this because I really think people think their whole interiority about being spiritual is something they're tasked to do on their own. Like tonight at 5 Iron Frenzy, they are going to close the show with the greatest song of all time, Every New Day. It is the most beautiful song. It moves me. There's 100% chance I'll scream every word, probably cry at the end, and I'll be doing it next to my brother, who will also have the same emotive reaction. And my son will look at us like, oh my God, this is cringe, right? And then our buddies from our high school theology reading group are coming. All of us. This is one of our favorite songs. When I have different songs for different parts of the church year that I listen to on the way to church to get me in the mode, right? Every New Day, Eastertide. First time I listen to it, I don't listen to it all in, but I am tonight. And why? Because when it's sunrise service and I got to rock it like 6 a.m, I turn on this song, and it is just like the most beautiful articulation of resurrection imagination. And I'm just like, boom, shaka laka laka. And I don't have that experience. There are going to be a lot of people in the room having it, and a lot of them will not think, oh, I'm being religious right now. But like Derek in Facebook chat said, we got to get back to the original definition of religion, which is binding. It's about binding us to each other,
right?
Binding us to each other into a narrative that orients us beyond ourselves towards our neighbor and even our enemy. Like, that is being religious. So when we get in the Every New Day, and he gets to this bit in the bridge, right? Man versus himself, man versus machine, man versus the world, mankind versus me. The struggles go on, the wisdom I lack, the burdens, they just keep piling up on my back. So hard to breathe, to take the next step. The mountain is high and I wait in the depths. I'm searching for peace, searching for grace. Dear God of Christ. And then it's like, healing hands of God have mercy on this unclean soul. Once again, Jesus Christ. Light up the world, burning bright within our hearts forever. Freedom means love without condition, without a beginning Baby, forever yours. Only you can make every new day seem so new. Then punk drums. I will be losing it. And I'll be like, boom, that's what we're talking about at Easter. I'll be having it with all these people in the room, and they all have different experiences with it, but we've all been bound because this music and these stories like have meant something to us, and then they show up, and then you're like, boom, shakalaka, and you're like, only you make every new day seem so new. But where does that newness even show up? In the very relationships that begin the existential struggle of the breakdown of the end. That we've been tied into a world where we get shaped by machines. Machines turn people into ends, not means, or means, not ends. We do the same with the nature around us, and then we start to do it to ourselves. Oh, well, that is the existential crisis of our age. Deep loneliness in an age that prioritizes connection. And then what is it that opens up a new space? It is actually a gift of life beyond the death of mechanistic, deterministic materialism that's been seeping into our culture, finding new ways to financialize, extract, and exploit all the world around us. And what is the resistance? It's the resistance of the one that conquered death, that bore a cross and did not get the last word. And I'm just like, come on, give me this junk. Is it religious? It's a revival for Tripp. Do we want to call it that because it's not a quiet time before you get up in the morning or whatever? No, I'm just saying. Okay, you can tell I'm excited about tonight.
Yeah, you are. You know what I think I'm struggling with, though, and that was impressive. But the thing I'm struggling with is because I have moved on from my evangelical devotional life and spiritual warfare and my internal practices, I've so transformed or evolved or adapted, migrated to this different kind of spirituality that's more ancient and more communal, that I honestly barely recognize spirituality because of how it was defined for me as a charismatic evangelical. So I don't believe in a spiritual realm anymore, like for doing spiritual warfare. So I don't close my eyes when I pray because I don't want to block out creation, because I do think that life of the spirit is the most natural thing in the world, right? Even with that first human. So because I don't have any of the markers by which I'm used to navigating, I feel adrift at times in the realm of spirituality, which is why I'm grounded in religion, in the practice of communal connectivity, right? So I think it's just tough for me because the word spiritual has certain connotations and baggage that I have left behind. And so I don't identify as spiritual anymore.
Okay, you're not spiritual. I'll agree with you.
That was the longest aside I think we have had, but also the most impassioned.
Well, you know, the other thing I'm thinking is if we do one thesis per hour, we could, in a month and a half, we'll finally get done.
Yeah. Time mogging. we're time mogging, man.
All right.
Yep.
We'll do the second one. Let's
see. Hopefully it's as entertaining as that first one.
Okay.
Oh, this is
thesis
graphic.
2. We have been seduced into becoming entrepreneurs of our own exploitation. The genius of the digital empire is that it's replaced coercion with seduction. We do not resist our exploitation because we experience it as self-expression, connection, and opportunity. And so like here's what I'm thinking of in this thesis. Like old empires said no, and they rule through prohibition, right? Like, oh, it was an external threat. This empire's like, yeah, and rules through permission. That's why we don't recognize it as empire. No one forces us to check our phones 150 times a day. This Lent, I got this device that just turns off all the things on my phone that aren't like texting.
The block?
Yeah, the brick. Yeah, no one forces us to do it like all day long. I just keep noticing I pick it up, and then it's like junk. It's not even working. What am I doing? So now Bo disappeared.
The chat Hey, listen, I knew that the interwebs were not going to like you talking about this. I knew we were going to have a problem.
Well, it's okay. Now I forgot.
Our digital digital overlords are punishing us.
We basically craft Instagram personas, and we do our function. We do it all freely, and that's what makes resistance rather difficult because we're complicit to our own capture. And so, like last week when I used the line about the platforms of plantation, right? Because old plantations required overseers and whips. This platform requires mirrors. We surveil ourselves, we discipline ourselves, we optimize ourselves for the algorithm's benefit, and then go, it's self-improvement, it's freedom. Byung-Chul Han, I mentioned this last week, like this connects with his point that we moved from like Foucault's disciplinary society to an achievement society. But the achievement's always for someone else's profit. We exhaust ourselves building platforms we don't own, and then our data gets mined, and it gets extracted, and then they sell it to people. And so these chains are invisible because we forged them ourselves. We wear them as jewelry and then call them connection or efficiency or body hacking. This is why the very first step for liberation is simply seeing it clearly, which is the main thing of the whole entrepreneurs of our own exploitation bit.
Trip, 3 months ago, I don't know that I would have been as open to these ideas as I am today.
I'm just witnessing to you bit by bit, Bo.
In December, I was getting ready for the end of the year, and I was thinking about what resolutions I wanted for this 2026 year. And I made the mistake of clicking on something about leveling up, like sort of like how to have your best year or whatever. And then I watched a bunch of videos. I fell down a rabbit hole, a bunch of videos about leveling up. And I have to admit, it turned me off pretty bad because it was naked, like self-achievement, but at the price of this thing that you're talking about. And it really made me realize, oh man, this is a little problematic. Like, this isn't just how to upgrade or make some tweaks so that you have an improved. There was something perverse and like off-putting about it, and so I've been sitting with it for a couple months. So I'm more open to this presentation than I would have been 3 months ago.
Okay, now you're really good at like figuring out ways of talking about this. Do you think the shift coercion to seduction bit clicks? Like, does that make sense?
It's impactful. It's really good.
Okay, because like I said, I'm using this for talking to a bunch of undergrad like religion philosophy majors, and I'm just like, I'm basically prompting them to get to help me work this material out.
I think by the way, I think our chat this morning is more electric than it's ever been. People are really engaged in this.
Wow.
Can I just say, and quite opinionated. I don't say that in a negative way, just definitely this subject has them.
Yeah. And for those that are listening maybe later or on a different platform, I'll just say that if you're ever joining live, the preferential option of the chat is in YouTube. That's where all the regulars hang out. So like Joe over on Substack, I'm like, you should come to YouTube. Derek's on Facebook. If you go to the YouTube one, then you get to hang out with everybody.
Yeah.
All right, you want me to do the third one? Because it's I think the last of the self-framing.
Okay, do the third one.
All right. So the third one is thesis 3. The faith of the other is disappearing, and with it, the possibility of both ethics and love. Screen-mediated existence systematically shields us from the vulnerable, demanding, inviting face of the other, which, as on behalf of the wisdom traditions that have handed down their wisdom to this world, the other is the very site where moral responsibility and transforming love are born. So in this thesis, I'm thinking think Lebanon, who argued that the face of the other is where ethics begins. Before any law or calculation, the face. Like, here I am, I'm real, you can't reduce me, I'm vulnerable. My existence makes a claim on you. But the face is not the only side of ethical demand. It's also where love becomes possible. So that same vulnerability that summons responsibility opens the door to a genuine encounter. And so the face says, do not harm me, but it also says, know me, meet me, love me, right? Thinking back to our, like the reference to the OG human being lonely with God and all of creation until another human face shows up. And the screen actually shields us from both. Without physical presence, without the face before me, in all its vulnerable, demanding, inviting ways, signaling the deep mystery of the other's subjectivity, others become pixels, usernames, content we consume or scroll past. And this is why we can say things to a username or on Twitter or whatever you'd never say with the face.
Right.
Ethical demand has been muted, but so has the possibility of transformative encounter. We end up shielded from our responsibility to the other and the potential of love. And Tara Burton, what's her? She has a third name in her name. Anyway, Tara Burton. I'm gonna go with that. She calls this like the NPC phenomena, non-player characters, where we're treating others as non-player characters in our own personal game. So it's not like just a moral failure, which could be the way we tempted, especially Protestants, to frame this. It's a structural inevitability when the face and the faces we encounter in the day no longer meet us. Like, think of how many of our encounters, even with the people, right, we're serving in congregations, how much of our decision happens without the face of the other present. And in the chapter about this, I go into a lot of like the psychological science about like the actual difference of communicative events that are in person and all that kind of stuff. So
hey, all right, a couple things. I'm a little disoriented because you said it was the third point, but I think this is slide 6. So there's 2.
So it just didn't make one for the third one. So this is what I realized you wanted to play this game.
No,
And so I just said make my slides, and
so go back to the snake slide. So I'm going to try and describe to people who aren't seeing the slides what's happening here. So there is an infinity symbol that's made out of binary code, 0s and 1s, into a snake eating its own tail.
Yeah.
It's really, a disturbing image.
No, actually, the image I like a lot.
Oh,
and you know what it's good for? The actual fourth thesis.
Okay, before you get there, I just want to say the embodied nature of what you're talking about is the elephant in the room. Because if we view ourselves as incarnate creatures, right? Bearers of the Imago Dei, who reflect part of the divine to each other in a holy mosaic, whereby in community we reflect a greater and fuller picture and expose different angles of the divine nature to each other. That embodied nature, if held up for us as saying, we cannot let this go in exchange for digital enslavement, right? That's the saving grace as I'm understanding it, right? Is that incarnate nature of an embodied understanding. That's what's at risk.
Yeah. And okay, so I'm just going to tell you the fourth thesis. Then we can talk about both of them. Maybe that.
All right.
Because, internet. All right. So thesis 4, which this graphic actually works really well for. Our brains are being physically restructured for capture rather than contemplation. The neural systems that evolution developed for freedom, reflection, and communion, including encounters with the divine, are being systematically degraded, while the systems that evolved for threat detection and survival are being chronically exploited.
Oh,
think
weird.
So think Thinking Slow versus Thinking Fast, which is like
Yeah.
the most popular book that talks about these two modes of reflection. So, okay, if we think about it, religion science framing, evolution spent billions of years
Yeah.
developing top-down attention, like the capacity for deliberate focus, contemplation, the examine life. This is the kind of neurological foundation of prayer, moral reasoning, seeking God, loving encounters, choosing your values to be expressed when they aren't actually for your immediate gain, things like that. The frontal cortex. It's what makes us more than just stimulus response machines.
Okay.
And the
Monkey.
algorithm
Yeah.
has systematically hijacked the older kind of bottom up system, which is important and part of life when we use it. The threat detection circuitry that evolved for survival, or take red notification badges like the anytime you breaking news in red or something on your social media, like they know that red exploits our evolutionary coding for urgency.
Right.
Or autoplay exploits our reflexive attention movement. So like think of just how shorts are cut video wise, or that it just autoplays because it knows immediately new things, sees not top down thinking, not value shaped orientation.
Yeah.
So we're being captured by our survival instincts. And
Wow.
here's one of the examples, like when you look at
Damn.
the neuroimaging studies that show how the gray matter reduction in the prefrontal cortex and the right in inferior frontal, like I'm trying to think of what's the easy way to say. Okay, just the part of our brain that does this, like the regions responsible for impulse control.
Yeah.
Those breaks, like for it to go, oh, don't immediately respond out of your anger, hunger, or whatever at this person rudely, all that kind of stuff. That gray matter's physically shrinking in high social media users. So we're not failing to exercise willpower. We're trying to just break a system that's been structurally compromised. And when you think about it, like the contemplative traditions across religions, the mystics, you could say, speak of the battle against passions, right? That struggle between bottom up impulse and top down intention. And we're losing the battle, like at the structure of our neural architecture. But there's hope. Neuroplasticity cuts both ways. The same brain that's being degraded can be restored. There's some really cool studies that, I went looking for them for the book, where like 8 weeks of mindfulness practice actually increases the gray matter in the affected regions. And so,
really,
so just these kinds of things, we don't have to go like, oh, we're occupied, it sucks, and now it's over. We can change it, but there are limits on what we can change as individuals when we do it collectively, which is other theses.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, obviously the most obvious answer to why we randomly continuously get cut off.
The digital devil is on you this morning, man.
Yeah,
he's nipping at your heels.
Google's in retrograde.
Oh, man. Dodgy stuff. So let me ask, this is so interesting. So you're telling me that the pixels on the screen can trigger these evolutionary survival regions of my brain in a way that stimulates me, right, to respond in ways that have evolved over, well, pre-2008.
Yeah.
Right? That's wild stuff.
I thought about using the porn example with undergrad students and then just be like, look, when I was in undergrad, we had to use Protestant guilt complex and accountability partners to get people from having sex. Y'all volunteer not to. And then you got a bunch of 20-year-olds on ED medicine because you look at porn so much. And the number of ED prescriptions for people under 40 is wild. Right? You want to know the only reason you need one? I mean, I guess short of like the random accident, or there could be like a few that like have an actual health condition. But it would be
it's because
like,
of the neurons in your brain.
It's because you've like desensitized yourself to the actual like friction, uncomfortability of sexual intercourse being a crescendo of the risk and vulnerability of encountering genuine otherness. And then you just simulate the biological feature, which your body, like we're evolved to want to, because as a species, we actually need like relationship networks to have kids as early as we do for survival and all those kinds of things. Like, so like in lieu of, I've even thought about asking, because I've had this conversation with Elgin and his friends, high schoolers, like, how many of you have actually asked someone out in person? And they all look at me like, who the hell would do that? And if you think of like our experience growing up, which is basically similar to every human, without arranged marriages, and that, like once you had free people to make decisions and enter monogamous relationships with mutual commitment, we all have stories. For everyone that ever came before us and all of our family have stories of the awkward encounters and like how do you raise the subject and like approaching the other, and they still get to be themselves so they could say yes or no, and then like the subtle flirting and getting to a point where you might voice it, all that kind of stuff. Boom, gone. Anyway, yeah. If I was a youth minister, which I'm not, and I've been told not to do this, but I thought about just like, this week, any of the high schools, y'all go ask someone out in person, $50. Like, you just need to have the experience.
Wow.
Like, because I'm like, what you like sliding into DMs as the beginning of true love? Like, you're like, I can't even risk you experiencing your own agency face to face, and I can't even give you myself for this encounter. I'm like, oh God, depressing. Sorry, Bill.
No. Here's why this is really intriguing to me. So this thing I listened to about looks maxing and toxic masculinity, it actually started because there was this phenomenon that you're talking about. There was a website that gained great notoriety for teaching young men how to pick up women. And but what most young men figured out is that the art of the pickup only worked for like 6% of the population who was extremely good looking. Those are the pickup artists. And so there was a backlash and a hatred grew of the pickup artists. And so a second reactive community came up of saying this stuff doesn't work for regular guys. And so the backlash was the development of this other thing, which is like, whether you call it the incel or, the various monikers that get thrown around. But it was fascinating to know that it started because young people were having trouble knowing how to flirt or pick up somebody. And then, the shysters and the con artists and the grifters sold them on this thing like, well, we can teach you how to do that. It was in the backlash of that this, I mean, it's really weird to think about how influential online reality has impacted people's actual experience, right?
Yeah, so even if you look at, say, the last 100 years, because we have relatively good data, individuals. So like, where did you meet the person you married? The shift after 2000 towards like now what we call the apps, but before it could have just been like, OK Cupid or whatever the websites are. I don't know. I got married young, Jesus. But now, if the increasing majority of them happen because the connections are made in an algorithmic environment, like what gets selected for are the things that make one attractive in the fake presentation of ourselves, right? Like the biggest complaint for any of the apps are like, they aren't, those pictures aren't real. or they've modified, or like they say they're X, Y, and Z, but then it turns out they're this. And but before, if you look at it, you get big things like from school, work, both of which now are problematic because people abused regular interactions with people. So now you're worried about being a creep if you're actually like trying to date someone at work or
Is
at
that
school or
right?
whatever.
Okay.
Um, and the
Oh,
social
okay.
consequence of rejection in those spaces has gotten bigger.
Hmm.
So now a lot of the connections are made in spaces where it's not in a network of friends, right? So if I went up to someone like, hey, like Alicia, I wanted to ask her out on a date. We didn't like know each other. We had lots of mutual friends.
Yeah.
I get an answer after she went and asked her mutual friends that know me, like, is he sus? Right? And like, oh, okay. Or we're in the same campus ministry group. So, like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we have these things in common, these friends. So, there's a significant social consequences if I turn out to be super sketch, because I'm now cutting myself off from not just a potential second date with her, but like everyone we're mutual friends with. If you go sketch, she's going to be like, yeah, you think he's a nice guy. You know what happened. Yeah, right. So, um, there are all these things that were in a part of just the natural framework of sociality
Yeah.
that get us to really men in our testosterone driven brain to domesticate ourselves for
Yeah.
like actual interaction. Those are gone. So then what are even the pickup artists looking for? They're not looking for a relationship. They're looking to bang. Like this is that whole culture online.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then what do they complain about?
DTF.
That they're what? They're, oh well, I'm an involuntary celibate or whatnot. Like this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so I'll just say like the technology story like shifts once Facebook comes online and things, you start to see the shift, and
Huh.
then all the like initial dating websites.
So
Then
interesting.
after '08, it goes even more dramatically towards
Sure.
apps. And the
Sure.
apps are built on algorithms that have nothing to do with like deep shared values. How like are you awkward in conversation and do we naturally flow? So many of the elements that just exist in social interactions are removed.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, here we go. So on the apps, the things that evolutionary psych anticipates for the critical mass of each gender are what gets selected for. Guys, you want a signal that you like make your bed, have a full-time job, don't live at your
Mm.
parents, and like you're a provider, you're well dressed, you want something to signal like that you're
Okay.
an aspiring class, like that you have potential for earnings and things like that. Those go like way
Wow.
further. And the same thing, if you notice on the sites, that for the psychology of male, not that hard to figure out. That's why on like the increase of apps have
Yeah.
increased the age difference between couples being married, because guys will swipe on someone 7 to 8 years younger than them,
Oh
and
no.
women tend to swipe on guys older than them because they're more likely to have a job, wear a suit, use complete sentences, and
Oh
signal
my
all the things that we
gosh.
know are the conditions in evolutionary psych that make an initial attraction. It's just those used to take place in the context
Yeah.
of social webs of
Yes. Yeah.
relationships, shared values, and
Yeah.
narratives. And you take out those, and now it's just those features at of the bottom up part of our thinking that are being
So
selected for.
interesting. My goodness. Two quick reflections, because this is so fascinating. Like the sociologist in me is just totally intrigued. But two personal reflections. Number one, Trip, I am enjoying aging so much. Ever since my parents passed, it really is on the front of my mind all the time how much of a privilege it is to be alive, and and that not everybody gets to age. And I have just decided I'm going to embrace the aging process and really enjoy it. But conversations like this really expose, like, I've never been on an app, right? Like I know there's Tinder and right meet whatever. Um but I've never been on one. And it's interesting to hear that, because that is almost all the young people in my congregation, that's how they meet their partner's romantic interests. It's all apps. So I love sort of charting things that go from none to all, right? So my favorite example of this is before 2005, I never performed a wedding for a couple that lived together. And since 2005, I have only performed weddings for people that had lived together. Right? So that all or nothing really catches my attention. And this app now is going to go in that category. So before us, let's say 2008, no one met through apps, right? It was like minuscule. And now that is nearly exclusively the way. I'm elder maxing. Woo-hoo-hoo! I love this new trend, man. This is awesome. So that's one reflection. It's just I'm feeling my age in that I've never been on an app, and it sounds like you might as well be talking about a different planet, because to come up, especially as an adolescent, to develop, right, developmentally, to meet people through an app, it sounds so alienating and just foreign. So that's bizarre. And then a silly reflection, because I was an evangelical, I wasn't allowed to have sex, right? So I loved flirting, Trip. When I was in high school and graduated after I got out of high school, dude, flirting was fun. And to hear about a young person's experience, like a senior in high school, and not to have that, like I can't stop smiling at how odd of an experience that would have been. Because for me, flirting was like the main sport. I mean, yes, you make out and heavy petting and other fun things, but
I can't think of something more old man sounding than the phrase heavy petting.
Oh my Lord. Gracious. This is such a funny conversation.
I might say you're old without saying you're old.
Oh my
I
Lanta.
really enjoyed heavy petting in my days.
I enjoyed heavy petting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that still counted as sex, Bo.
Me too. In hindsight.
Like you repented after.
That's probably true. I probably did feel guilty, yeah.
Did you have to pray with the girl? Prayers of repentance, or did you like okay, no. That's like a whole nother level of true love waits energy that I didn't know existed.
Yeah, I've
been told that by certain individuals, and I'm like, wait, like you made out with your boyfriend, like we're talking just like making out, not even like real deal heavy petting, and then they felt guilty and are like, we should repent together.
I think making out. Yeah, I don't think of making out. I think it's the fondling of breasts and other things. Yeah.
Well, there's Bo.
I feel like we're at the end of this conversation.
Well, there's another thesis.
It's come to its natural conclusion or climax, if you will.
Which is a name of a town in North Carolina.
I bet it's popular. By the way,
what town is next to? High Point.
I thought you were going to say intercourse.
No, I don't know about an intercourse, North Carolina.
Boy, right. I am really enjoying not just our conversation this morning. I'm also enjoying the chat. I just have to say that Lori and Ann and Billy and Evan and I don't know who the geek preacher, I lost his name, Dan, I think. They've been so entertaining this morning.
Hey, look, they just put the theses in a different order. 3 is on slide
weird.
8.
But AI is so stupid.
Here's the number 5. So thesis 5. Maybe the AI thinks I should reorder them.
They're like, the flow would be better.
Can I tell Trip how to do his talk? No.
This is not sequenced correctly.
Yeah. Okay, so thesis 5 is we are starving in the midst of infinite abundance. The digital environment provides supernormal stimulation while systematically displacing the embodied practices that actually nourish human beings, leaving us consuming endlessly while remaining malnourished in our souls. And
whoa.
Kind of what I'm thinking about this thesis is dopamine, which we all kind of know governs our wanting,
I'm addicted to dopamine, by the way.
Not liking, but wanting.
Yeah.
Anticipation, not satisfaction. So like the infinite scrolls engineered to trigger wanting that never arrives at having. And then we become perpetual seekers who never find. Robin Dunbar, anthropologist, does some amazing work on the evolution of religion. One of my favorite books on it. Also has done significant research on friendship. Like he's the one when everyone goes, oh, the human being basically averages 120 to 150 people that it knows, like faces, names, and can interact with. That's his research. It's called Dunbar's number. So the research, one of the parts of this is research shows that like our genuine social bonding requires endorphins, like released through physical touch, synchronized movement, shared laughter, eating, singing, that kind of stuff together. And screens don't transmit endorphins in nearly the same way. So the like button, right? It can't hug you, but we keep checking to see who's liked. So there's this thesis I'm trying to work on something. I'm calling it the displacement hypothesis.
Okay.
Where every hour on screens is an hour not spent in embodied presence. And we haven't just added digital connection, we've subtracted, right? Because it's not like the day gets longer, physical presence. And that makes it, the math a bit brutal. And something about that is, do you know James Cone's, like he has a theory called social baseline theory?
No, I don't.
Okay, so this is really cool cognitive science stuff. He's articulating that the brain evolved to assume physical proximity to others, right? Like, obviously that's the context. Yeah. So isolation triggers emergency responses within us. Like the experience of isolation makes us go WTF, like we're not made to be alone. And yet we're surrounded by simulated connection while our nervous system keeps registering that we're alone, right? So there's a social baseline theory, like we're evolved to be in relationship with others. We simulate connection, but our nervous system's like, no, this person hasn't hugged me. They haven't touched me. They don't know my name. They're not interacting with me. Even if I know them, they're interacting with the performance of me for the algorithm. Norman Wurzba from Duke, who was on the podcast, we talked about this, where he describes, like, imagine scrolling through pictures of food.
Yeah.
While your stomach remains empty.
Yeah.
That's what the screenification of connection has done. Wow. We're doing this to our souls. We consume social content endlessly while the actual hunger for the other, like definitional to being human, is being starved.
Wow. That is profound and disturbing. Troubling.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Oh.
I'm just saying.
That's why it's so unsatisfying.
Yeah. Yes. It's very unsatisfying, Bo.
What if, this is an honest question, what if you send a meme to somebody and then talk about it later? Is there...
No, look, you're now like, I understand what you're doing. I get that. Most of the memes I look at are from people sending it to me. Because I'll just say that writing this book, and then like the more you look into the science part, and then you like, oh, let's take like a liberation framework and all these kinds of things. Now, you throw that onto like a hyper vigilant, personal piety of a Jesus follower, and now every time I open something, I always will go look at messages people sent me. Yeah. Obviously not very often during Lent since it's turned off, but so like I regularly I don't look at videos. I just look at ones people send me.
Interesting.
But then I noticed a couple months ago, I don't just click. If I watch a video, say you send me.
Yeah.
It doesn't go, do you want to say anything back to Bo about this? It just starts showing me other things. And I get caught in it. And then I'm just sitting there. I was like checking my messages while cooking, right? Ready for dinner with family. And then you send me something, I look at it. And the next thing you know, 20 minutes goes by. I've screwed up the meal. We're not going to all eat together. And all I know is that the algorithm was like, oh, he just got something from Bo. Let's show him a Lord of the Rings meme. And then 20 minutes goes by and I'm just giggling about Gimli memes. And like when you think of that, the displacement part of that hypothesis, what got displaced was, what were those 20 minutes going to be? One, dinner would have been done on time. I would have given heads up to all the kids so that they're all there. Then we would have sat down at a meal and enjoyed it. And if you think at the end of my life, this is what I always think to myself, at the end of my life, I'm going to sit there and be like, Alicia, all of our kids have left the house now. I'm just really glad that I looked at some Gimli memes and we got rid of about 20% of our potential family meals because I was laughing about Gimli memes. You see what I'm saying? Like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get, and because Elgin's leaving, he's like a senior. Now it's like
you're feeling it.
I'm hyper conscious.
Yeah.
And Lord knows the Holy Ghost and/or just like the genuine fear of being like, well, who is Tripp if Elgin's not home? I'll get emotional about it and be like, that was dumb. And but Elgin's the one that was like, we got to do this brick thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting
suggestion. I made it this weekend over 3 days without even like checking messages on Homebrewed.
Really?
Yeah, I left the brick on for 3 days, over 3 days.
Wow. So here is my I'm under conviction, and I have two things rolling around in my head. Number one is I have gotten in a bad habit of calling in an order for pickup and getting, whether it's like a breakfast burrito or a coffee, and I just go in and I grab it and I leave. And I'm realizing that whether it's the evolutionary thing that you're talking about, proximity to people, or whether it's created, where we are created for community, I am now under conviction that, and maybe this is what I should give up for Lent, is I'm going to stop calling in orders. I'm going to stand in line. I'm going to be around other humans. I'm going to order. I'm going to wait, not on my phone. I might strike up a conversation with somebody, but I'm going to be present, both to myself and to the proximity of other humans. I have really gotten in a bad habit because I hate waiting in line, and I'm often over hungry by the time I think to call. So then I just want the calories. So I think I'm under conviction, Tripp, and I think that that's going to be my application is I need to stop doing that, and I need to be present, both to myself, so not on my phone, and to other humans, so not calling ahead. Those are going to be my two applications of this.
You know what's funny is like when you decide to do something like that, and so you're like, wow, this is an opportunity to connect with my neighbors who are at this restaurant, and they're just sitting there looking at their memes, and you're just like, hey, friend, hey, neighbor, and they look at you like, oh my God, what is this guy doing? Does he not want to be in his curated echo chamber from the algorithm right now? He's really offending me. Like, I don't know who you are. I might actually have to like listen and engage a person. Like, where's my Gimli meme at? And I love Gimli memes. So people, you can send them to me. All right.
Hey, I want to comment
on to where like I just decide I'm not gonna, if it starts to scroll, I just get mad at it. Like, don't mess with me. Meta.
Hey,
I just want this Gimli meme, not whatever you're about to give me.
Can you put up Ben's comment? And this will be my final thought, because it's really profound, actually. Because my wife is immunocompromised, since 2020, we really have never come out again. And I've gotten in some really bad habits. For instance, on Thursday, that's sort of my last public day, because I don't want to get sick on a Friday, Saturday, and miss church on Sunday. So I front load all my appointments in a week, Monday through Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday, I really am in isolation. It's just a leftover from not wanting to miss a Sunday. But that's like a pretty small example, but I have gotten in some really bad habits, and much of the time I do still behave like we did during quarantine. So that's a pretty insightful comment, and more true than you knew when you said it.
Yeah. Well.
Like for instance, when I come home from Theology beer camp, I actually sleep for 3 days until I can get a negative test before I return home. I sleep somewhere else before I can go home. It's just the precautions that we take. And those are positive ones, but there are some real negative ones. And so that's a good call.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, Bo?
The algorithm has kicked in and is rewarding you. We've reached 100 messages in the restream today.
Oh,
I've never seen that before.
Well, we should just do the other 5 next week.
Okay.
And what I'll do before then is actually put the slides in the right order.
Okay. And Lori, I really appreciate that. Lori's oncologist told her that yesterday that she still has to live her life. That's really, this is like honestly, this is like very therapeutic for me this morning. I didn't know it was going to be like that.
Well, you're welcome, Bo.
Yeah.
See, but like things like this, I guess, some people may not know what they're showing up to in the algorithms. Like, you should hang out on Theology and Throwdown. But, I like that I get to talk to you every week and we see each other. But it's obviously not nearly as cool like at camp when we get to like hug.
Yeah.
Be there. But it is, it's way better than not talking to you till then.
I agree.
And then we get all of our regular chatters, and if they're there, then we get like we should have a TNT group hug, just a big group hug. And you know what? I was trying to think, what if we should do at camp this year? We should do a TNT episode and come up with like fun games.
Okay.
Where we make we get these theologians to agree to do it with us, but they don't quite know what games they're playing. So we pull out a bunch of our fun games, maybe make new ones from back in the day when we would do live podcasts at events, and they would be like, oh, well, here's people speaking at this event. You can have them on the podcast. And then we're like, okay, good. And I bet at Theology Beer Camp, we won't have like someone like Rob Bell just decide he's kind of like matured past playing silly games in a brewery. Because we don't want to say no to Trip right now. We're going to go along with it.
So we have a guy. Hold on. We have a guy in the chat named Derek who is a board game chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
So we should have him help us develop a board game where like the theologians would have to roll. So like Catherine would be playing against Dom, and they have to roll, and then wherever they land. Right, we could invent a board game for our nerds to play.
Mm-hmm. Okay. By the way, we do have like board game time and stuff at camp. There's a whole group that are very much into Magic the Gathering, and they take that junk seriously. And funny bit from last year, like there's a group the group that organizes it, like Ryan, who has like the Thor podcast, and Josh Gilbert, who edits Homebrewed and a bunch of the other podcasts and stuff. They're like, oh, we've been doing this. So they had spent years trying to talk Jared from Bible for Normal People, Jared Bias, and he mentioned, like one year when they saw him playing, like, oh, I love Magic. And so Josh was messaging him like, you got to bring your deck this year where you're going to play. So he brings it. And these guys that play all the time are like, Josh is in a Magic the Gathering group. Like he plays all the time at his house. When the first time I visited, like half his bookshelf are just trays of Magic cards. And I'm like, but he just had a kid, so he's probably going to have to get rid of some of them. But I'm like, this is what adults do when they don't have children. And so they're like, oh yeah, we got Josh. We're going to get Jared over here in the play. And Jared whooped them. I mean, he demolished them.
That's funny.
And it turns out Jared and his kids play Magic all the time. He shows up with like the best deck in their family and slaughters these guys that have been asking for 3 years to play with them. And it was so funny. It was one of the funniest things ever. Ryan Cagle also is someone he's done a project on like using role-playing games for community building and organizing, and also like in kind of therapeutic religious context. It's like a whole thing. It's really cool.
So at Theology Beer Camp, there's a room, and both in Denver and in Minnesota, where people are playing like D&D or other games. And my favorite thing to do whenever I pass that room, if somebody's coming out, is I somehow try and work the word paladin into my, however I talk with them. This is true. And so no matter who comes out of the room, I'll be like, hey, how's it going in there? Or hey, did you win? Or, I'll ask something, but all I'm really trying to do is get to my punchline, which is I'll say something like, you're probably like a level 7 paladin, right? And then they have to correct me, and it's in the most awkward and uncomfortable way, because they know that I don't know what I'm talking about, you know, and they're like, well, actually, I'm the dungeon master or whatever, they say. And but I try and make it as awkward as possible. But my game with them is I have to work the word paladin into the conversation. It's like a little challenge that I give myself.
That's what I'm talking about, Bo. For those that are D&D enthusiasts, it's shown up in both chats, even on Substack. There is a group that does play D&D for like all day on Thursday. So like Thursday at camp, it starts with happy hour, and then there's all these pre-events people go to that are like, oh, it's a pre-event for learning contemplative prayer. One's like for clergy, or ones that are like, I'm in the process and it's super nerdy or whatever. Then they're just like, our pre-event is D&D all day. And so just saying.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It happens. And if that's your jam, go for it.
This last year,
been on the nerd stage there's been a D&D session before. So
yeah, and this last year the campaign got really rowdy, and I happened to be sharing an Airbnb with somebody who got killed within like the first 7 minutes, and spent the rest of the day trying to get back into the campaign and couldn't.
My favorite part is was it 2 years ago in Denver? We're getting there, and the D&D group, right, is all showing up, and they're setting up, the ones that are like setting up, right, and they're bringing in, they're in costume.
Yeah.
And one of the members who was playing, the D&D game is set in Tolkien, like the Legendarium, but it's not, you're not playing like the characters, you're in that world, right?
Okay.
So like tangential missions to whatever. And you know what? She comes rocking in carrying a giant sword. And I understand like, oh, we're doing cosplay that night, so you could wear it and it could match your character for the game. But she had like a real deal freaking metal sword. And I was like, this is hardcore. And also, I'm uncomfortable with a sword after the third IPA.
Hey,
blood's thin, a bad error. All of a sudden, we got a squirter.
Oh gosh, that didn't sound good. Hey, before we go, Jakey B wants to know good intro to process book. You got to get Bruce Epperly's Process for the Perplexed, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good starter kit. And
Bob Mesley, or Robert C. Mesley's, has an intro to process theology and an intro to Whitehead's philosophy.
Yep. And then
Andrew
you got to
Davis has his new book that's about to come out. It'll be released at Beer Camp this year, which I've read it. It is the best intro to process philosophy.
Yeah. You're kidding.
No, I'm not. It's like amazing. If you're interested in it, I may even have
I was going to say, hold on.
It's if you go to whiteheadsuniverse.com, in March and in April, he's doing classes that are like live Zoom, like you interact. Obviously, you get the recordings, but where you get the book before it comes out, and then he walks everyone through Whitehead's philosophy. So,
unbelievable.
If you're interested, I would go to Whitehead's Universe and do that, because he's an amazing teacher.
Jakey B, listen, take me seriously when I say this. When you order Epperly's book or Mesley's book, make sure to also get the Cobb David Ray Griffin introduction. Set it aside. It's not going to be your first book you read, but you will want it as soon as you finish the first book. Whether, if it's Epperly, as soon as you're done, you're going to want to pick that up. So don't make it a separate order. Get it at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a little PDF you can get on the internet, I'm pretty sure for free, that John Cobb made. That's like just a dictionary of all the process words and how they get used.
I have it. Yeah.
It's worth having. If you can't find it, you can email me. I can just send you the PDF. I don't know I don't understand how it exists in publishing or whatnot. Like, I know it's a book, but it's also like a PDF they would send to people.
And you're going to need it. That's the thing. You will need it. It's not just a different operating system. It has a different vocabulary. That's what I like to tell people.
All right, Bo.
Well, this has been so fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's been amazing.
Dude.
And next week you can get the other half. But in the meantime, but if you think of stuff, or anyone listening, you're like, oh, you should add this example or think about this or whatever, you can just message us, because I'm one of those people, until it's out, I continuously edit, which kind of irritates people that would like the text to be stable so it can go to publishing. But so I'm on like my 5th version of most of the chapters, and they just get longer. So yeah.
Well, may you be embraced by the divine goodness of embodied community this week.